my sort of career journey took a lot of twists and turns. I thought I wanted to be a physician. And so I went to get my undergrad in biology and stats, and I was going to Penn and like all this stuff. And then at the last minute, changed course. But I stayed in the medical field for the first half of my career, where I was in pharmaceutical sales. I actually became a physician assistant. I was practicing medicine. And then the crux, sort of the crossroads was I wanted to stay home with my children. And that's when I got sort of reinvigorated by the idea of staying in sales and at home business. And so I did that, and I never looked back. I didn't go back to medicine, but along the way, I became a life and business coach. And now I'm coming back to the idea of holistic health and wellness. So
That's
it's
awesome.
interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting trajectory that I have been on, which I am like so happy and grateful. I wouldn't have changed a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, I think I just want to reinforce that
Mm-hmm.
people are whole people,
Mm-hmm.
and that, to understand all the different facets of yourself takes time. And so, yes, you can be, very headstrong and focused on a career, and yet you may need a strong, loving relationship in the background, right? Or you want to understand finances, and you want to make sure that you don't abandon your spirituality, your health and wellness, your fitness. Nothing should be so consuming that you forego some of the other areas of your world,
Mm-hmm.
because you'll end up 3 decades later not feeling whole, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
So
does.
for my 17-year-old self, or for the 17-year-olds out there, I would say that just be mindful of the life wheel, of all the
Mm-hmm.
different parts of who you are. And just know that I would have to say that the best way that you can show up in a relationship that's going to be a long-standing, intimate relationship, is to know yourself well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we get, sort of commingled in this idea that, about marriage and about relationships prematurely,
Mm-hmm.
because, we are experimenting. We're looking for love. We're looking for those things. There's nothing wrong with that, but I wouldn't make that the primary focus in your life, or I wouldn't make work the primary focus in your life. I would try to be as aware, to be balanced as best
Mm-hmm.
as you can.
Yeah, definitely. That is such a great point. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Balance is the most important thing that you could have ever in your life. And it's so easy, especially to go down a path where you only focus on one thing and you don't focus on anything else. And you only focus on like
Right.
work, or you only focus on like yourself. Or I'm not saying that's bad, but that balance is really important, and it's helpful for whatever you do.
That's
You
it.
like when you're a student, when you're doing work, when you're tired, those balances make you, I guess, a better person, I should say.
Well, it makes you show up in
Mm-hmm.
dharma, really, of where you're headed and who you're supposed to be here on the planet, if you think about it,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And you brought a really great point up. Even if you're a student, and studying in college, but you're not paying attention to your own needs, like hunger, sleep, hydration. I talk to
Yeah.
my children today, who are in their late teens, about those things, because all else will fall away if you're human, if your body, the machine, your brain and your body and your mind is not in filled, is not at its peak. It's and so I think that's really key. And there's no such thing as true balance. Like, I will say
Mm-hmm.
that it's that awareness that you are a whole person,
Mm-hmm.
so that you're listening to the body when the body is
Mm-hmm.
talking to you, and you don't like run it to the ground, which
Definitely.
a lot of college students are doing today,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
and we're running, by the way, we're running ourselves, our minds to the ground with these. So just be aware of what you put in the mind, because whatever you put in the mind is going to show up in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's a great point. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Do you have any tips for someone who kind of wants to get to know themselves better and kind of wants to add a little bit more balance to their life?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, today, like, there's so much freneticism, there's so much running and doing and running and doing and running and doing. I think that the biggest tip I can give a young teenager or early 20 something is to weave in and make a more regular occurrence reflection time.
Mm-hmm.
So alone time,
Mm-hmm.
journaling time, walking in nature time, music, but turning this off, turning
Yeah.
this thing off and keeping it away, regularly, whether it's a weekly detox from it, meaning one full day out of 7,
Mm-hmm.
of no phone and no social media would be a really healthy thing to do, or certain parts of the day, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, that's what I would say is reflection is absolutely key, meditation. And again, I know that everybody's out to achieve, achieve, achieve. But I would say if I could have done something, if I could have known something back
Mm-hmm.
early on, it would be that.
Yeah, and that's such a cool way. And I think you brought up a lot of great tips for people to do, like go into nature and kind of have that detox from the devices and social media. I think that is one of the best ways to just kind of have some alone time and be alone with your thoughts. And I think journaling is really cool. I think that is the best way to kind of just write it down and make it real and be like, okay, these are what I'm experiencing. And then really getting in touch with your emotions, because I feel like that is the hardest thing to do.
Oh
It's
my
I know
goodness,
it's
you're
hard
so
for
right.
me. I know it's hard for me to like understand everything I'm feeling and to really grasp the whatever it is. So I think journaling and writing it down, be like, oh, okay, so this is what I'm feeling, and then this is
Right.
how I can help myself.
Absolutely. I'm going to leave you all with this image.
Okay.
Okay. This is your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it's very hard to know what you're feeling if this
Yeah.
is all it is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you write more things out, it comes out of this, and
Yeah.
it can be more into like, oh, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling. So I do that with my clients all the time. Like, this is your brain all day long, and maybe you'll have a great idea and
Uh
it'll
huh.
it'll come up, but it'll be overshadowed by chaos.
Definitely. I think that is such an awesome physical and like visual representation because I'm a very like visual person. So I
Yeah,
can hear things and understand, but I think looking at pictures and just looking at examples is so much better for my brain.
absolutely. For most brains.
Yeah, true. That's very true. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you,
You
Muskan.
shared a lot
Thank
of
you.
great things. Definitely things that I can see implementing in my life and things I can definitely think about and will help me. So I appreciate you taking the time today. It's been such a pleasure.
My pleasure.
All right. Well, have a great day. Thank you so much.
All right, dear. See ya.
Bye.